So we are up here at the lake. We like to come up here at least once or twice a week in the early morning. Real peaceful and relaxing. She likes to work out. But while we up here, I figured I'd shoot a quick video. So you guys always hear me talk about finding a high quality tenant, top tier tenants, high quality Section 8 tenants. That's the backbone of this business. And I got a question recently. How exactly do you identify a high quality Section 8 tenant? And that's a pretty good question. And I just want to go over some of the characteristics that I look for in a tenant to help me identify if they're a high quality Section 8 tenant or not. Now, when you're dealing with Section 8, obviously there are characteristics that tenants have that are non-voucher holder tenants that are way more important than characteristics of Section 8 tenants. Like for one, the main concern for a non-voucher holder tenant is sufficient and reliable income and employment. Now, it's a no-brainer why this is probably one of the biggest concerns for non-voucher holder tenants, because you want to make sure they can pay the rent, they're going to pay on time, and they can afford the rent. So of course this is very important. But for voucher holders, I mean, at the end of the day, the housing authority is paying the majority of, if not all of the rent. So it just doesn't hold the same weight. It is a good thing if voucher holders do have a job and that they do have income, but if they don't have a job, if they lose their job, the housing authority steps in and pays the entire rent. So whether they work or not, you're gonna get your rent paid. So that's why it doesn't really hold the same weight. And that's a huge benefit to Section 8 landlords. Now, another factor that's important to non-voucher holder tenants over voucher holder tenants is the credit score. A lot of times landlords want a minimum credit score requirement, and this is understandable. The credit tells you how responsible someone is, how much debt they're in, do they pay their bills on time. So this is also a no-brainer why any landlord would want their tenant to have good credit. But as a Section 8 landlord, again, this doesn't hold that much weight. Now, if a Section 8 tenant does have good credit, it's just looked at as a bonus, like bonus points. But I've personally never seen a Section 8 tenant with over a 600 credit score. But again, it doesn't really hold that much weight. At the end of the day, most of their rent is going to be paid by the housing authority. Again, so this is a big factor when it comes to private tenants, but not so much Section 8 tenants. That was fun. Now, as for the characteristics I look for in a Section 8 tenant. So the very first thing I look at, and I hate to sound judgy, but is their appearance. Now, and this is when I first meet them, when they come visit the house. I look at and see what they got on. Did they come see the house with pajama pants on, or do they have a bonnet on their head, or do they have like slippers, like house slippers on? This will tell you a lot about a person. I pay attention to this because if they look like they just rolled out of bed and just came to see the house and they're not taking it serious, then I'm not gonna really take them serious. I'm not saying you have to dress up like a suit and a tie or a dress, but no, just wear regular clothes, jeans, even sweatpants. It's not a big deal, but I don't want you to wear house clothes. And I've seen people come and do that before, and it's kind of like, are you taking this serious at all? That's the very first thing I look at. What exactly did they come see the house wearing? Again, I don't want to be judgy, but it kind of says a lot about a person if they just come see a house for the first time, they meet the landlord, and they look like they just rolled out of bed and don't care. Now, another characteristic of a high-quality Section 8 tenant is a clean criminal record. I'm not saying that you have to have a clean record to be considered a high-quality tenant, but if they do have something on the record, it depends on if it's relevant and how bad it was, how serious was the offense, and how long ago was it. People might have done something in the past and got their act together. So everyone messes up and make mistakes and they deserve a second chance, but if it's two applicants with the exact same qualifications, but one has a criminal record and one doesn't, then the one that doesn't have a criminal record might edge out the one with the criminal record. So again, it does depend on what they were charged with and how long ago it was, but as a landlord, the cleaner their criminal record, then the better. As she's jogging, I'm going to tell you guys the next characteristic I look for in a high-quality Section 8 tenant. And this is obvious. And it's a clean eviction history. Now, it's obvious why this will be a characteristic of a high-quality Section 8 tenant. No landlord wants their tenant to have evictions on their record, especially if they were recent, and especially if they had a voucher at the time. You don't want to go through the eviction process. It could be long, drawn out, stressful, and the cleaner their eviction history, the better. All right, next on the list, not only do high quality Section 8 tenants have a clean eviction record, but something else you like to see on the record is no failure to pay rents. Now, a failure to pay rent is something that a landlord files if a tenant doesn't pay rent. It doesn't mean they got evicted, but it just means they were late paying the rent. And again, if you have a voucher and you're late paying the rent, I mean, that says something. It could be a reason, but as a landlord, you just don't like to see it. A lot of times, failure to pay rents don't show up on their background check, especially if they didn't get evicted from it, because they can eventually pay and just pay it late, and then the case will get thrown out. But the failure to pay rent can still stay on the public record. So that's what I do. I go to the judiciary site from the state and search their name, and then you'll be able to see it. But if you just do a background check, you might not be able to see the failure to pay rents. All right, so the next characteristic I look for is a clean house. Now, you guys know during the screening process, I require a house visit. I feel like that's the best way to see how a tenant is going to keep your house. It tells a lot about a person when you see how they living. Usually people who keep a clean house, they do not mind you coming to see their house. It can make some people uncomfortable, but usually high quality Section 8 tenants will invite you right on over. Like, hey, come on, I have nothing to hide. You can come today if you want. So yeah, nice kept house, clean house, smells good. This is a really good sign of a good Section 8 tenant, because this tells you exactly how they're gonna keep your house. The way you see them living now is exactly how they're gonna live at your house. And a house visit is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. I highly stress landlords to do it. It can really keep you from picking the wrong tenant. All right, and the last characteristic I'm gonna talk about that I look for in a high quality Section 8 tenant, and this one might seem simple, but it really does hold a lot of weight, and it's if a Section 8 tenant is honest. Now, you really won't know if an applicant is honest or not until you start verifying the information that they provided you on their application. Just making sure everything checks out. Their landlord is really their landlord. They really work where they say they work. They make what they make as far as their income is concerned, whether that's a big deal or not. I asked the question on the application if they ever been evicted, and they put no, and then I found out they actually have been. I mean, you'd be better off just telling the truth. But yeah, that's a really big factor when it comes to rent my house out. I want to rent it to someone honest, and I can understand why someone would lie, but if you get caught in a lie, it's just not a good look. It's just an immediate turn off. And a landlord-tenant relationship is like a business relationship. Once y'all sign a lease, y'all are going into business together. Now, do you want to go into business with a liar? I don't know. Being honest, that's a huge characteristic for me. And as small as it may seem, it does hold a lot of weight. So my morning walk is complete. Her workout is pretty much complete. We're about to head on out, but those are the characteristics that I look for when looking for a Section 8 tenant, a high quality Section 8 tenant. Again, the tenants are the backbone of our business. It's the most important decision you will have to make as a landlord, whether you're a Section 8 landlord or a private landlord. A bad tenant can really make your life hell. But yeah, it's just really important to look at these characteristics and try to get the best tenant that you can. A lot of people feel how they feel about Section 8 tenants, but trust me, there are some good quality Section 8 tenants out there. It's just our job as landlords to try to find them. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining us as she works out and as I walk. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.